Hello, everybody. This is Sam with ACRC, and I am back with Madison. We are here to discuss what it looks like to become a surrogate. And a lot of moms come to us because they're interested in becoming a surrogate, but they're not always sure like where to start or what the process looks like. So that's where we come in. And we thought it was a good idea to create a series of videos to walk you through step by step. And hopefully this will make things a little bit clearer and less overwhelming for you.
Yeah, we talk to surrogates every day, and a lot of the questions are actually very similar. So, in this series, we're going to go through the most common questions and just break everything down in a really simple and honest way.
Perfect. So in today's video, we're going to talk about what surrogacy actually is. I feel like a lot of people have heard the word surrogacy, but they don't really know what it looks like in real life, or they've heard things, that are not so true on social media. So, how do you usually explain it when someone asks you what is surrogacy?
Yeah, that's such a common question. At its core, surrogacy is when a woman carries a pregnancy to help someone else build their family. That could be couples who are struggling with fertility, single parents, or same-sex couples.
And I think something really important to highlight is it isn't something you're doing on your own. There's a whole team involved between the medical team, the legal team, and us as the agency. We're here to support you throughout the entire journey.
Exactly. We work really closely with our surrogates every step of the way, so you're always supported and never figuring out things alone.
Okay, so the one thing that can be a little confusing is there's different types of surrogacy. So can you explain that in a more simpler way?
Yeah, absolutely. So there are two types of surrogacy, gestational and traditional surrogacy. Traditional surrogacy is where the surrogate uses her own egg, where gestational surrogacy is when an embryo is used that is not genetically linked to the surrogate. At ACRC, we only do gestational surrogacy. Traditional surrogacy is not as common these days.
Perfect. So like what does that look like for someone who's new to this?
So with like gestational surrogacy, the surrogate is not biologically related to the baby. The embryo is created through IVF using the intended parent's or donor's egg and sperm and then transferred to the surrogate. So no genetic relationship whatsoever to the baby you're carrying. You're just Evan, you're caring for another family.
Wonderful. Okay, so let's talk about some of the biggest misconceptions because we hear them a lot.
So
Um,
many.
I think the biggest one is, won't the surrogate get emotionally attached?
Yeah, that's probably the number one question. I think it's a big concern for a lot of women that are thinking about becoming a surrogate. But most of the surrogates go into this with a very clear idea of what their role is. They understand they're helping someone else build their family, not their own. It's
Yeah.
a
And I
different
think
mindset.
it is a different mindset. And I think a lot of the reason why they're able to kind of do that disconnect is they're done having their own children. So it makes it easier for them to not really feel that longing for another child, maybe. I'm not sure if that's like exactly how, like for me, I was completely done having my own children. So I knew that was the right time for surrogacy because there was going to be no question to that. Like, oh, am I going to
Mhm.
want another one? Am I going to be, is this hard for me? Like,
Right.
I knew very, very well that I did not want any more. So that was really helpful.
Yeah, we see that a lot too, like with our surrogates. Like they love being pregnant, they have easy pregnancies, but they don't want any more kids. So it's the perfect thing for them to do.
Yeah, yeah. And since they all have their own kids, right? So like that's something that is a very big part of surrogacies. You have to have had your own children and be done with your own children.
Yeah, and that's actually one of the requirements. So you have to have experienced pregnancy before and understand the difference. And it's important for safety.
Yeah. So that's another thing is, is it safe? And I think I really want to preface real quick, like we are not doctors.
Yeah.
There are risks associated with any pregnancy, whether it's a surrogacy pregnancy or your own personal pregnancy. So we can't necessarily sit here and say it's 100% safe. However, we do take the necessary steps to ensure the safety, and I'll let you kind of go into that.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the biggest things that people don't realize of like why they have to have had a pregnancy before because they're going off of your pregnancy history. They're seeing, did you have an easy or complicated pregnancy before? And every pregnancy is different, but
Right.
that's why we do thorough medical and psychological screenings and everything is monitored by doctors. They're making sure like our job is limiting risks. So we want to make sure you're qualified and you're going to have the easiest, best pregnancy you can.
Right. And like again, not doctors, but just because you did have three perfectly textbook pregnancies doesn't mean you won't have any complications, but we go into this with the expectations that, hey, you've already had three really great uncomplicated pregnancies. Your body can handle a pregnancy. So the risks of you moving forward are minimal compared to somebody who might have had a very traumatic birth or
Yeah,
pregnancy.
exactly. Mhm.
So safety is a big priority from the beginning. And then the other question we get a lot is in terms of compensation.
Yeah, compensation is definitely, a big part of the journey. But most of the surrogates we talk to are motivated by more than that. They genuinely want to help another family have a child, and it's a very meaningful experience for them. But we do realize, this is a lot on you. Like you're carrying pregnancy. Pregnancy is not easy. There's a lot going in on that. So our compensation, we want to make sure the surrogate feels like she's getting a good, like the fair amount for what it is. And I want to say if you want to expand on that a little.
Yeah, so I definitely agree. Compensation is definitely one of those things I think that are very taboo to talk about because I don't want, I think people do think, oh my gosh, people are going to think I'm only in it for the money. And again, it's a very nice additional bonus for you. Like you can help your family to be, doing something that you have a goal for. Like we were going to build our house with that money. Some people like to pay off their debt with that money. And so, it's not frowned upon. It's okay to talk about it, but it's also not okay to take advantage. And so that's where we come in. We will talk to you about what we think is a fair compensation. Obviously, it's your journey. This is something that is important to you as well, but transparency goes a very long way. And, we'll just be very open and upfront about that with you as well.
Mhm. I
Um,
love that.
yeah. So if you're just starting to learn about surrogacy, hopefully this gives you a little bit of a clearer picture of what it looks like just starting off. Again, we're going to be doing some more in-depth videos to really deep dive into a lot of the topics that go into it, but this is just a little glimpse of what we'll be doing.
Yeah, and if you're thinking about becoming a surrogate and have questions, feel free to reach out to us. The contact information is in the video description. We are always happy to chat, always happy to talk, answer any questions you have. We love it. We love what we do.
Yeah, we definitely love it. We live to talk to you guys. We love answering questions. There's no question that is, I'll get people like, oh, I have a dumb question. No, no, there's no dumb question. No, you've never done this before, so how could you know the answer? Like, this is what we thrive to do. So,
Yeah.
thank you so much for watching us today, and we will see you in the next video.
Bye.